Senate Republicans cleared a major hurdle when Arizona Senator John McCain signed off on the legislation. The New York Times reports that the bill, quote, could widen American economic inequality while diminishing the power of local communities to marshal relief for vulnerable people. In other words, there's no tax break for local property taxes. Many view the legislation not as a product of genuine deliberation, but as a transfer of wealth to corporations and rich individuals, both generous purveyors of campaign contributions. And Larry Kudlow, one of the president's top outside economic advisors, seems to agree. Let's watch him.
When you want to end the state and local tax deduction, for example, well, because rates are reasonably high, relatively high, that's going to hurt a lot of different people. Yep. You follow?
Yep.
So the internal logic was not good. This is not a true tax reform bill.
Well, a recent University of Chicago survey of top economists showed that of the 42 economists polled, only one thought the Republican bill would boost the economy. Of course, they're all Democrats. Anyway, the majority said it wouldn't. Senate leaders just announced that they will hold no more votes on the tax bill tonight. We'll hold the next votes tomorrow morning when they think they're going to head towards passage. More, we're joined right now by the Hardball Roundtable, former Maryland Democratic Congresswoman from right nearby here, Donna Edwards. Sophia Nelson, contributor at NBCNews.com, and Sam Stein, politics editor at the Daily Beast and an MSNBC contributor. I want to go start with Sam with just one point of news tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
They have the 50.
Well, we don't know if they have the 50. It seems like they should have the 50.
Well, who's definitely off? Anybody?
No one's
Johnson is
No one is
playing.
definitely off. There are a couple holdouts based on their concerns over the deficit. There's a couple holdouts based on how they tax these pass-through corporations. The latest reporting I saw was 4 or 5 holdouts. They were going to work through the night to try to figure out how to fix this thing. It's not done yet, but I do think it ultimately gets done. It's just a matter of getting it across that final yard.
Well, what strikes me is the daylight robbery aspect of this. They just walk into the bank without masks, and they go in there and say, give us all the money. I mean, they're keeping carried interest. It's a big corporate cut. It's a big cut for the top brackets. It gets rid of the minimum tax. It's a fantastic boondoggle for inheritance. Yes. You can leave $22 million without any problem. It's got everything for the rich and then maybe a couple, $1,000 for everybody else per person as the payoff. It's so obvious.
Well, I mean, look, it goes after students, teachers, working people, working families, and it gives a boatload of money to the wealthiest 1%. I mean, it's not even transparent anymore.
What's the politics?
I think they have to get something done. But the something that they're getting done, people may not realize it now, but I'm going to tell you something. Every single person is going to go to their personal calculator. They're going to look at this thing, and they're going to realize that they're getting stuck with the bill so that millionaires can go back with $200,000.
But Wes, let's go back. Most people are not millionaires. Most Republicans are not millionaires. The average Republican who voted for Trump is not going to do well here. So what do they get politically? And why do they have to pay off their donors? Because I think that's this whole thing about, and I also have a sneaky suspicion that your party, Donna, your party, doesn't really mind this because, A, their contributors make a lot of money out of this tax deal, and they get to run against it. It's perfect. It's a twofer. Well, they get all their fat cats say, hey, thanks for not getting in the way of the Republicans, giving us a tax break. And by the way, we get to run against it.
Well, come on, Chris. I think we'd much rather make sure that we're protecting the American people, protecting working people.
Do you think Pelosi and the others have done, and Chuck have done a great job stopping this bill?
There's definitely more grassroots.
Come on.
But I don't think they have to.
They don't have to what?
They don't have to do anything because the Republicans, to your point, they have to get something done. So this is one of those things where they got John McCain in a room and said, look, if you don't sign on to this thing and we don't get something done, we will have gone a whole year with no legislative accomplishment.
Trump.
It doesn't matter. He's still a Republican at the end of the day, and I don't think he wants to see the party completely crash and burn. That's the first thing. Secondly, Larry Kudlow, who I've known for years, I don't always agree, but he's pretty smart when it comes to this, and he's dead on. This is not a tax reform bill at all, and it's definitely, and I'm the conservative person saying this is not a tax reform bill. It doesn't help regular people. Taking away local deductions. If I buy a new home and I'm a young person, $500,000 more, I can only write off so much of the interest. What good is that? So this bill doesn't help working people like they're saying. It hurts working people and middle-class people, and that's just everybody.
Going back to the point, Sam, why are they doing something that's going to put a big target on their back next year for Congress?
Yeah.
When we have elections, everybody on the Democrat side can just say he voted to make everybody richer. Why are you voting for this guy?
Well,
I'm talking about going to look, you go into the states that really matter. Pennsylvania, you go to those suburban areas that really can flip. New York's not going to flip, but those suburbs are going to flip. And they're the people that are tax sensitive. They make maybe 150, both people working, maybe. But look at this thing. What's in it for me?
Well, I agree with you. One of the fascinating elements of this for me was how Democrats aren't supporting this. If you go back to the 2001 Bush tax cuts, 10 Senate Democrats voted for that bill, including Dianne Feinstein and Max Baucus famously did it. I would be very surprised if one Senate Democrat voted for this bill. And we went on to try to report out why this is the case. And basically, this is the most unpopular you can make a giant
28%,
bill.
right?
And this is remarkable. Tax cut bills usually poll fairly well, but they've managed to make this incredibly unpopular. Now, Trump thinks he can sell this thing because he's out there talking about how he gets hurt by this. When any sober analysis of the bill says he benefits incredibly by this, and certainly his children will benefit incredibly by this as well.
And there's no controlling of health care, which is my problem. The health care expenditures, particularly for small businesses and individuals, keep going through the roof.
In fact, it would exacerbate that by getting rid of the individual mandate.
Right.
So you have this package of things that will really it would be politically toxic. I don't think Democrats are hopeful that it passes. I'm not as cynical as you. I think they are nervous that down the road, Republicans will use this to say, you know what, the deficit's out of control. We now need to turn our attention to Social Security and Medicare.
Well, anyway,
when you have, you know, you can't get Democrats like, you know, from West Virginia and from Missouri, these conservative Democrats, you can't get them on this bill. You have a problem.
Well, we'll see. It looks like a pure